They were just teenagers, barely old enough to drive, not old enough to vote. But they were sentenced to die. Some claimed innocence, others redemption, but none escaped the final judgment. These are the haunting stories of America's youngest death row inmates. George Stinney Jr., age 14, state, South Carolina. Crime, double murder. Execution, June 16, 1944. In the spring of 1944, two young white girls, ages 7 and 11, were found murdered in Alcolu, South Carolina. Days later, police arrested a 14-year-old black boy named George Stinney Jr. He was questioned alone. No lawyer, no parent. Just hours later, they claimed he confessed. The trial lasted one day. The jury, white, all male, deliberated for just 10 minutes. George was found guilty, sentenced to death. At 14, he became the youngest person executed in 20th century America. On June 16, 1944, George was strapped into an adult-sized electric chair. Newspapers said the helmet barely fit his head. Witnesses described the scene as horrific. He was declared dead minutes later. 70 years later, a South Carolina judge vacated George's conviction. Wrongful, rushed, racist. He died an innocent boy. George Stinney Jr., 1929 to 1944. Exonerated, 2014. Willie Francis, age 16, state Louisiana. Execution attempt, May 3, 1946. In 1945, 16-year-old Willie Francis was arrested for the murder of a white pharmacist. His confession was obtained under suspicious circumstances. No witnesses, no physical evidence. But in Jim Crow, Louisiana, that didn't matter. He was sentenced to die by electrocution. But when a switch was pulled on May 3, 1946, something went wrong. The chair malfunctioned. Witnesses said Willie screamed, "Take it off. Let me breathe." His lawyers appealed. Could the state try again? The case went to the Supreme Court. The answer, yes. The botched attempt didn't violate his rights. The state would get a second chance. A year later, on May 9, 1947, Willie was brought back. This time the chair worked. He was 17. Willie Francis, 1929 to 1947. The boy who survived once. Sean Sellers, age of crime, 16. State, Oklahoma. Triple murder. Execution, February 5, 1999. Sean Sellers was obsessed with the occult. At 16, he murdered a store clerk, and weeks later, his own mother and stepfather as they slept. His defense claimed demonic possession. The jury wasn't convinced. At 17, Sean was sentenced to death. On death row, he transformed. He rejected Satanism, embraced Christianity, and begged for mercy. Documentaries, human rights campaigns, even the United Nations got involved. But the courts held firm. On February 5, 1999, Sean Sellers was executed by lethal injection. His final words were filled with regret and forgiveness. He was the only U.S. inmate in 50 years executed for a crime committed under 17. Sean Sellers, 1969 to 1999. I was a child lost in rage. 3 teenagers, 3 executions, decades apart, yet bound by one truth. They were children when they killed, and children when they died. Should the justice system treat them like adults? Or remember that they were still growing boys? Like, share, subscribe for more stories from Death Row.